Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Coaching from the Couch. This is your Washington Commanders update, and I'm your host, Candy C. Waller, checking in as I always love to do all throughout the NFL season to give you the latest and greatest information on the Washington Commanders. As you all can see, I think I'm here by myself. Wale is working for the urban sports scene crowd. Wale is working, so it is me. It is me with the live Bowie television recording to go through all of the things. I don't think I've talked. Well, I was on the pregame show. If you follow the All Burgundy and Gold Everything show, you saw me on the pregame before Sunday Night Football, before the Commanders took on the Denver Broncos. So I was there, I was on for that. But other than that, you have not seen me since Madrid because I absolutely took some time off. I took the bye very seriously. And I'm back for us to get on through this season. I will definitely say hello to everybody. Are y'all able to see me? Are y'all able to see all the things? Check in if you're able to. Make sure you all can see me and hear me clearly, because I do believe that I am live. And no one else has told me on the back end that we are not live. So you all let me know if you can't see or hear everything other than that. I see a hello and yes. Very, very good. You all, we can start going on this live Bowie television. When things are live, you never know. So you all, let's go ahead and get started. You all can share this show with your Washington Commanders loving family and friends. You can repost. Please make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channels of both Bowie TV and Urban Sports Scene. If you have been on the show before, you know that we go through all of the things. We show a lot of clips, pictures, news, all of the things that really keep us going on with all the things. I will take as many questions as I possibly can. I'll try to star those or just remember who asked them. And then we can go ahead and get started in the show. Again, make sure you share. Lots to discuss. We're basically going to start, just jump right on in. And you all know, if you've been here before, you all know how I kind of do this. You know the drill. I'm going to show clips. We're going to do all of the using of our clues. And we're just going to make it happen. However long we stay on is how long we stay on. We typically have a really good time while we are doing this. So we might as well get going, shall we? Yes, we shall. We play a game here called What's Your One Word? It is what is your one word to describe how you felt when the Washington Commanders lost in overtime to the Denver Broncos. NFL Week 13. Drop in the chat how you felt when the game was over. Tell me all the things. How did you feel? Drop your one word in the chat of how you felt. Maybe you didn't feel anything. Maybe it was, maybe it was okay for you. Maybe it was not. I don't know. But if you had a one word, and that's a game that we love to play here on Coaching from the Couch, go ahead and share what your one word was. Paul is saying his word was because they were really right there. Cortland said that his word is shocked. He was shocked. You could go ahead and drop some more of your one words in the chat. Surprisingly, do you want to know what my one word was? My one word was actually fun. I said, you know what? They lost. They lost. And we've been sitting here watching a lot of losing, much to everyone's surprise. But it was fun to actually see them having real fun and rooting for their teammates and just going down to the wire with Terry McLaurin out there, seeing that the energy and the swag, he was bringing, I thought that it was definitely well worth the watch. I know some are saying proud, others are saying pain. Yeah, you get that far and it still hurts to lose. Nobody likes to lose. But what I could sit there and say, and there's a ton of feedback, right? And all the things we can look at and say, what could have gone better? The fact that they were still in it until literally the very last play said a lot, considering the way that this season has gone. So, with that being said, I know there was some other like notes and notables. If you all have been watching me for a while, you know that I have been having this game circled on my calendar for a long time. So this one is actually, this news information here is probably really small on you all's television screens, the computer screens, and phone screens, but it was basically a stat from Next Gen Stats about Terry McLaurin. He caught 3 of 8 targets for 30 yards when covered by Pat Surtain. His final reception was the overtime touchdown. Pat Surtain had not allowed a touchdown on his last 507 coverage snaps dating back to week 13 of 2024. So Terry McLaurin ended that streak for the defensive player of the year. So everyone knows when I was talking about matchups, talking about games, that was one of the reasons why I had the Commanders and Denver Broncos game circled on my calendar, since we all knew that they were going to be playing the Denver Broncos. So luckily they were both healthy enough to play. And there's some more other tidbits that I'll be sharing as time goes on. You all, let's get into some of these clips, shall we? Again, I am your host, Candy Sewall Waller. This is the Washington Commanders update from the Coach from the Couch series. Wole is at the Wizards game. He's doing work. He's working. So he is not joining us this evening, but we are still cranking and getting it done after recapping week 13 of the NFL season, Washington Commanders, Denver Broncos. I'm definitely going to be taking all of you all's questions as much as I can possibly can and much as I can possibly answer. What I'm going to get into now is just some clips, because we haven't seen each other in a while. So we have to get into Dan Quinn's press conference. Much of these clips are going to be from Dan Quinn, just so you all know, from his press conferences. So Dan Quinn's presser last week, as well as his press conference this week, a little bit of Marcus Mariota, as well as Dan Quinn again today. So let's go ahead and get into some of these clips. There's a lot. We try to embed it all in there. Drop your questions, drop your comments on the video and clips that you're seeing. And as we go into each clip, I'll definitely share some insights. We'll always be using our clues, as you all know, and we'll just have a chat, shall we? So let's go ahead and get started on the clips.
They will inevitably ask maybe a question about what's ahead, and what I can tell you is certainly no luxury to do that, man. To me, it's all about right now, and we talk a lot about our culture and our standards, and those things weren't fully built just last year, and we began the building process of that, and man, it's cool. We're right in the thick of all of that. So show me a team with a strong standard, and I can confidently say they've been through some shit, and that's kind of where your standards get strengthened and tested and all those good things, and that's exactly where we are. And as I told the team, for all of us, man, like, we can dig and get more. That's game day and really every day. That's more speed, that's more focus, and players and coaches, man, we can for sure do that. It's doing the small things at a world-class level, and where we are, nothing to me is too small, and so there's our opportunity to elevate. And individually, as a team, that's our focus, where we're at and how we want to go after it. So that's kind of what I started our returning from the bye messaging, and I wanted to share that with you as we get started. And it was cool to be back out on the practice field today and get rolling again. We all needed that space, and now it's time to go again. So that said, I'll open it up with you guys, and we can get rolling to start the week.
So we always stop whenever my mother, Mama Waller, jumps on. So we'll say hi to Mama Waller. Pops Waller typically watches it later, so you can say hello to him as well. But my parents always watch every single show. So they're a part of the audience as well. So let's just go ahead. You always have to do that commercial break because that is very, very important when your parents are watching the show. So let me know your thoughts on what Coach Quinn is saying after the bye. This was last week. Okay, so then we're going to work our way up to today in present day because there's so much that can be taken from each one of these clips and videos and all the things. Let's go ahead and move into some more of the clips from last week because, as always, I have a ton of clips to share.
I think kind of on a macro level, I'm sure you took part of the bye to kind of look back at how the first, 11 weeks of the season went. When you look back kind of at yourself, your own performance and messaging or certain decisions you made, what's something that you took away from that review?
Yeah, there's a lot, honestly, Tom, when you go back through because you want to make sure you're digging in on the right things and the right mindsets. And so I want to find out, where are the mistakes? And you want to answer, okay, do you know where they are? Are they fixable? Okay, yes and no's are, answers to those. And then here's the process that you have to go through to do that because, as you know, the difference on those winning and losing comes down to these, differences that you need to do. So I wanted to dig back in hard. I asked a lot of collaboration with the coaches as well in their opinion. So I wasn't just going to make it my point of view. I wanted to collaborate as strongly as I could, Tom, to make sure that everybody had a voice in this and also how we plan on, moving forward with real resolve and making sure the practices, the standards that we want are really being met. That's why I discussed it with the team too.
So we've often heard everything about collaborative decision making, all of that. So Coach Quinn in that response is sharing very much so that this is still part of the process. Him working with his team, his staff, as well as the players in understanding where he can be better, where things can be better. And as you're listening to this, while the record may not reflect it at all, I think we can say that we've seen things be better. In the last couple of weeks here, we have seen things be better. So let's continue to see what happens. I know the win-loss column may not reflect all of that, but it definitely, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. So let's move on to some more of the clips from head coach Dan Quinn's press conference last week. Hey, Coach, you kind of touched on this a little bit in some of your responses to others' questions, but, last year we talked a lot about, and earlier this year as well, a lot about the commander standard and what it means to be a Washington Commander. Yep. So now that you all have gone through and going through some adversity here,
yes,
what have you kind of really seen as very important to that kind of framework of what it means to be a Washington Commander?
Yeah, so much of it is mindset, Candy, isn't it? About when you're going through the hard things to say, all right, how's this mindset going to be? And when I was kind of referring to the little things, it's not like you want to heighten them, and it's not a matter of letting them slip. It's a matter of the extra attention that it goes, and really there doesn't have to be anything that's too small to go into that. The things that come to the top of my mind for me are kind of the winning time moments and the focus during there. That's a big piece of this, to make sure whether that's a fourth down, a 2-minute, an end of the game, those ones to where it goes from focus to the hyper focus. And you got to practice it. And I like the competition at practice. So having more guys back into practice, Candy, that's a big deal for me because now that's more competition, more spaces to go do that. And so that's a big deal. But, yeah, there's definitely as much gets revealed in the difficult times and you want to watch, you want to see how certain people are reacting, and knowing, okay, there's a person that's down for it. When the chips are down and they're like absolutely going for it, you do learn a lot. It sucks to go through it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But what I'd said earlier, you show me like a strong, confident team, and there's an excellent chance they went through something challenging, something tough along the way. I think that's teams, that's people, that's a lot of things that go through it. But I want that warrior mindset, looking for the competition, at every space, and knowing that somebody's ready to get down, like every time we go.
So if you follow me and follow Bowie TV, at least for the last year, toward the end of the season, definitely going into the playoffs, I was asking players a lot about the Commander standard. And it was kind of a doctrine, if you will, that this culture, this environment, this current environment, they came up with together. And, it's always great to have a standard, have a framework that works when it's all working, right? When it all feels good, when it's all right, when it's all kumbaya, it works. But what about when it doesn't work? So my question to Coach Quinn was about that, and wanting to really know more from him, because what are those kind of attitudes, characteristics, attributes, if you will, of a person that when adversity arises, how they're going to get down? Because at this point, the way, at least I'm looking at it, everyone, it's here's how they are, and here's how things are when it's the high of the high. But sometimes you really got to know how people get down when you're at the low of the low. So year one of the recalibration, success. Year two of the recalibration, not so much. So where is that kind of balance of really understanding and knowing how someone really gets down when things are going great and when the chips are down? And that gives some of the background context for you all to know. That's why I asked Coach Quinn that question, because I'm trying to figure it out too. Who is a fit? And I know they're trying to figure it out, right? Who are you when things are great, and who are you when they're not? Right. And oftentimes I'm asked on the shows, what's the vibe? What's this? What's that? And I'm like, they're always the same. And that's still the truth, right? It was never, they would say the thing last year, never too high, never too low. Hey, listen, they're low. The things are low. It's low, but not in terms of their attitude and their outlook on the game, on the day, all of the things. And we can talk a little bit more about that if you all have questions on that, because we have a ton more clips. Because the next clip is going to start getting into some of the questions that we asked Coach Quinn throughout the week in preparation for week 13, but still kind of closing up some of those loose ends and questions that we may have had since this was after the bye. So next up, here's another clip here. This was before we knew that safety Will Harris was going to be, in fact, activated from IR to play this weekend. So we're still kind of reflecting, backtracking here to now get into some of the questions from last week.
This week, or as soon as this week, what has his absence kind of meant for this defense, and kind of the flip side is what will his return bring to the defense?
I'll start on the return side. For him, Will is a really good communicator. He's like a hungry competitor. So I've liked that part about him. He's got good football awareness, Tom, because his background, he played corner, he's played nickel, he played safety. So some guys can, see this way, and Will can expand the vision to see other things, to give the alerts to other players. So he did a good job even during the rehab process. He was involved. He was in meetings. And so after his surgery, he was a couple weeks out in L.A., and then he came right back, I think, after our trip from L.A., and that's when we began the process, him being in the meetings together. So we like what he communicates like. We like the hitting that he brings. and the competitive style that he has.
So I saw a comment, and I try to put as many comments as I can that says, you've seen the Commander standard in these last 2 games. I see another comment here about them being stuck in neutral. And I have to tell you, I was sharing with, if you all know Darrell Owens, who takes the amazing pictures for Bowie TV, give him a tag because I'm about to say something about a conversation that he and I were having. And seriously, I was like, I haven't had that much fun watching a game all season. And then we said, well, no, wait. LA was fun. LA. And LA, I said, I know these folks. I know these people. I know them well, actually. They look like people I know and players I know and spend the majority of from May to January with, right? For sure in LA. I saw it in Madrid. I did see it in Madrid, and last night, because and we're gonna get some more into this because hopefully, we'll get through the agenda, if you will. It's like a swag, right? It's a swag. It's like, I was calling it in LA. I was like, oh, Jaden has the glow. I was calling it the glow. I was calling it the juice. I was calling it all the things. Like, it's just it's a thing. And and let me be clear, those things don't always come up in a win, because if you notice, they did win it. It's not like they got that many wins to choose from, right? So the Giants and the Raiders, and I didn't necessarily say that I saw the swag and the juice those days, right? I was still waiting for the moment, like the thing, and I saw it, and for the most part, in week 5. And I saw some more of it in Madrid. Definitely saw and felt it last night. Toward the end of the game, I was like, now these are the people that now have, and I definitely know that I believe that there's some moments in yesterday's game that I would have liked to have seen them do more of. The same thing in Madrid, the same thing. Right, in terms of regardless of who's calling the plays, and I think I may have tweeted this, regardless of who's calling the plays, if the defense is down some, their pass rush, they need some support there, they're struggling there, you definitely need your offense to score. They gotta score touchdowns. They must score touchdowns. And so not seeing, and I see someone let Darrell know that I was talking about, Darrell, I was sharing, this is what happens when you're doing live TV, folks. Darrell, I was sharing with everyone, we were talking about the games. And that, we were talking last night, leaving out of Northwest Stadium at 1 a.m. or whatever time, that had to be around 1 a.m. This is the most fun we've had covering the game all season. And then we mentioned LA, because it's a thing, and it's maybe whenever I see it again, I'll tweet it and say, right here, at this moment marker in the game, that's the juice I'm talking about. That's the swag. And I see moments of it. I see it in players. I saw it in the very first play of the game last night in Revo, right? You see it, but it's not for extended periods of time. And so they're in there. They're there. It's just from one, you shot up to the pinnacle of success, you may as well say, in year 1 of a recalibration. And I'm going to keep saying that because that helps to keep me level as well. And to the low. It's low right now. This bottom is low. Okay. But you just don't see, you don't. That was a fight. They got into a heavyweight match. And I didn't expect a heavyweight match. I was like, oh, they're going to lose on this one. They're going to lose. And they did not at all. The game actually was very what I thought it would be. Like really what I thought it would be. And I know folks are disappointed in the loss. Let's be clear. They are as well. But there was a fight in there that I know everybody, we gotta all be, we don't always all have to agree, but I think most can say there was a fight in that Commanders team last night that we have not seen. And they didn't buckle. I mean, to the very last play, they showed some guts. And it was like, these are the folks that we met last year. But everything with the injuries, and we'll get into that as well. I asked Coach Quinn, let's get back into some of these clips. I asked Coach Quinn, and if you all are just tuning in, this is a live Bowie television recording in collaboration with the urban sports scene. Shout out to Wole and Ray and all the great guys from the urban sports scene. Go ahead and tag the fellas and let them know that I'm shouting them out always for still going through with the collaboration. They're all working, but hey, Bowie TV is back in action. I had to do a show. So make sure you all are subscribed to both Bowie TV and Urban Sports Scene. Make sure you are checking out all of the amazing videos and photos that Darrell does for Bowie TV. And we're here live for the discussion to talk about just the Commander season and getting to the Denver Broncos as well. Still a ton of clips. Getting back to my point of the swag and just some of the, I just played a clip where last week Coach Quinn was talking about Will Harris before we knew that he was going to be active. Now we had a hunch, and I think I tweeted that as well. We had a hunch, that he would be active because just watching him at practice and just watching. And you go back to that Commander standard, that mindset. He was one of the free agent off-season signings. Another addition to the Commanders fold this season, Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel. Wow, right? So I asked Coach Quinn about Deebo last week. Check out his response. Hey there, Coach. And you mentioned this player a moment ago in your response to DA's question, Deebo Samuel. Now that you've had some time with Deebo and how the season is going, just what is your overall assessment of him as a player and the person?
Yeah. This guy he is one tough competitor. And it seems sometimes the closer he gets to that first down or to the end zone, he's going in, and you see it on a sweep on a run. You see it on a catch and run play. He's able to deliver in the big moments. I can think of a fourth down play. I was reviewing some of the fourth downs last night in Atlanta. So it's a guy who's accustomed to making plays in those spaces. Early on in the season, I thought, that was also cool to see him on the kickoff return side. Obviously, the injuries changed some of that. So I thought the versatility can do some of the things that has been impressive to me so far.
So definitely want to acknowledge Robbie's comment here because it's so easy to be critical of people when you're not playing. And the heartbreak on Marcus, oh my gosh, I was like, okay, I can't even look at Marcus right now because he is heartbroken, and they all were. It was just right there, all of the energy. Going back to this comment here from Dujanay, absolutely, yes. He was back in the fold in that kickoff return. But we remember at the beginning of the season, right? And I'm saying hello to all the good folks if you are joining in, and you still have plenty of time to share this show with your Washington Commanders loving family and friends to get them involved in the live discussion. At first I was like, okay, it's going to take him a minute to get back in there. It's going to take him a minute, and it was freezing cold out there. But I said, he hasn't done it in a minute. He hasn't done it. But remember at the beginning of the season when he was doing it, I remember back during the summer, it was even a conversation that Wole and I had on the show. And Wole was, he's really going to do it? Yes, he is. Now, when I saw that it was Debo and J-Mac, I said, ooh, this might be some really good special teams bump. You all know I'm a special teamer, okay? But I said, ooh, I mean, they're your best too. They are. Considering injuries and everything going on, it was immediate. This now here we and this is when I started jumping around, you all. This is where I started deviating from the agenda a bit, because this is when we started to get into some of the use your clues, right? I asked Coach about that because I felt like, okay, if my hunch is correct, and at the time when I asked that question, I said, okay, Terry and Noah will be back, because that's what I thought at the time of me asking that question. Terry and Noah will be back. Okay, Traylon will be a value add. All right. Debo can go back to doing returns. And the reason why Debo can go back to doing returns is because they're going to need some help, because the Denver Broncos do special teams very well, as you all saw. So do the Washington Commanders. But I'm like, whoa. The Denver Broncos special teams unit is very, very good. Very good. You saw both Debo and J-Mac. They didn't get much done, but when I saw it was Debo, I was like, I was right. Yes, cool, because everybody likes being right. Then I said to myself, oh, they're trying to win this football game. Okay, they definitely not cutting any corners with this one. Debo and J-Mac, because what can they both do? Block. And what can they both do? Break tackles. But that was going to be very hard to do against that Broncos special teams, as you all could see. But if you felt my passion or my voice get a little different on that one, it did, because I was very excited to see it. I was. It told me a lot. I said, oh, this game is going to be good. This is going to get good. And then I instantly then said, I went back to the receivers, because now let's move forward to the actual end game of what happened, because we knew Noah wasn't playing, right? Of course, this is game time. I said, they will be utilizing Terry. He was still kind of limited early on, but they used Terry, okay? But I said, Traylon is going to have a good moment. I can feel that about to happen. And I was right about that too. And we'll get to that in a moment, because again, who doesn't like being right? So I think something else I think most can agree on is that Debo has added value. Debo has added value in this space for this Washington Commanders team, to the Washington Commanders standard. He has had to deal with his own injury, as well as his teammates in his position group, all injured at various times, still getting, dealing with injuries throughout the season. So I asked Coach Quinn a question about that today. But another player, talking about injuries, I also asked Coach Quinn last week about defensive end Drake Jackson. Now, if you missed my question to Coach about Drake Jackson, you absolutely want to pay attention to it here. Another player that is in the 21-day window, Drake Jackson. Yes. What will you all be anticipating to see from him?
Yeah, as we're getting through like another full week from him, where's the pass rush? How's the movements? Where's it going? He hasn't played for a while, so to get extra reps to see and test, push it, it's a big step. And so that's why this week's a big one for him. He's worked hard in the time he's gotten here. First off to the side, extra work, getting his knee stronger, getting it better. And now you see the movements. Where's the football conditioning? How's the pass rush skill work? So it's not just physical, then it's also like the skill work that goes with it. But I have been pleased about the work that he's put in. So I'm excited to see kind of the next 3 days play out and then see where we go from there. But he's off to a good start, Candy.
So we posted on Bowie TV some clips from last week's practice. It was Wednesday, right? When Terry was full participant. I think Noah Brown was a full participant. That day, Drake Jackson was a full participant. Okay. Now this is, probably a use your clues moment. The next day, he was limited. And I said, oh, because once Coach said that was going to be a big week, I said, okay, let's see what happens. and he was limited on Thursday after being full. And I was like, he probably won't play this week because Thursdays are like the, really meaty practice. So remains to be seen what would happen there in game, but there's a bit more context for you all on Drake Jackson. If you all were looking or needed that level of context, if you were not familiar with Drake Jackson on a team who's still trying to find their way from a pass rush perspective because of, again, the injuries. So drop any questions you have in the chat. Drop any reactions you have to the clips that you're watching. Also in the chat, if you all have tuned in, you're watching a live Bowie television recording in collaboration with us in Urban Sports Scene. So if you're joining from the Urban Sports Scene stream, hello. Wole is working, so he was unable to join me tonight, but we're going to keep the show going on and continue to go through the clips, use our clues, and just see what we can talk through, hash out all of the good things. Now, these next clips, again, still moving into the week, because we're absolutely, of course we are, going to get into the Denver Broncos, and we kind of have, as the conversation has gone on. Coach Quinn was asked, I want to highlight a couple things that Coach Quinn was asked about last week. And I'm going to be kind of embedding all these things in here. He was asked about Frankie Louvu by my media colleague, John Keim. And definitely pay attention to this one, because I know that has been a topic, right? We've been, we talk about last year, this year, we know, and we talk about the defense as well, that Frankie Louvu's name has come up quite a bit in that conversation and that topic. So John Keim asked Coach Quinn about that last week. Check out and we've asked different questions throughout the season, but when in Coach's, new, if you will, role of defensive coordinator, defensive play caller, check out his response here.
This one, with the defense building off of the Miami game, what can you take from that game to build off of? And then I guess along with that, with Frankie Louvu, the pass rush numbers, we can look at the numbers and say they're not the same as last year, but what are you seeing from him, and what do you want to see from him going forward?
Well, I think first at linebacker, like, you want to see guys that can tackle, play square or tough, can impact the game. So that part, that's what I'm looking for first, at that spot. The added value is the rushing, the blitzing. We've rushed him more as a DN as opposed to blitzing. And sometimes that's just by necessity, John. And so, you've had it all the way you want, you bring him from off the ball and do that more often, but that's where we are. And I'm very pleased with him. He's absolutely established himself as one of the leaders here, high standards of things we want to get done. I do love his versatility, and having all the extra work on the edge will pay dividends, but the guy's got real natural instincts, and I can't say that, in years to come will he be more off in blitzing, possibly, but until then, this is how we get down.
That is how they get down right now. So when you hear those questions asked and you hear the response back, it's like, okay, that resonates because you do know the current pass rush situation with the Commanders due to the injuries. And I know of what I'm watching and what I'm seeing. So it's kind of like, hey, they're asking them to do some different things, right? As Coach Quinn said, because of where they are right now. So it's going to look different. But I thought it was also very, very impressive overall, because Coach Quinn told everybody from a linebacker perspective, here's what he's looking for. So he started there first, just in a linebacker position. Here's what I'm looking for. So May I? Yes, I may answer my own question. If we're using our clues to what he said in terms of what he is looking for and what they are looking for in the position, some questions you can answer on your own, right? And you have to be, you just got to listen. and pick up on it, because that's what he's saying. And based on what Coach Quinn said, it aligns to what we see in terms of the roster and in terms of who is getting the most snaps at that position. So that was certainly a use your clues moment there. Now, here's a hot topic. We're going to move into this clip where there's a conversation around playing, the vets. And I think I have two different clips of this. Playing the vets versus giving some of the younger guys some more snaps. Check out Coach Quinn's response here.
We've talked a lot about some of the established players getting more time on task now, but as some of the larger team goals, kind of slip away a little bit, how do you balance getting, kind of some younger players' practical experience and development with time on field versus, bringing back these established guys who have been there and done that?
Yeah, it's a great question, and you're trying to find the balance between both, winning now and developing, for tomorrow as well. There's some people that I think are making those steps, like Jordan McGee is one that I'm feeling that type of step going to the next spot. But you have to be able to try to do both. I was pleased to see Jones make a big play in the game last week at receiver. And so when those moments come and you're helping the guys develop, that's a big deal. What we also do here is, like you guys know, NFL practices, there's carded looks that you get to it. And we do quite a few where we don't do that. We want to see where's their knowledge, where's their development coming along. So we spend extra time with the players who don't have as much experience to get them into practices, get the meaningful reps, see them compete. And that's why I like having a full crew to be able to practice and do that. That's a big deal. We've expanded our competitions at practice today because we have more people that can do it. So the trickle-down effect of that is, okay, more people get those third down competition reps today, like a guy like Biggers and McDaniel, like those who are literally, waiting for their chance to get some more chances. It's a big deal.
If you all are just tuning in, you are watching from the Coaching from the Couch series, the Washington Commanders Update. This is a live Bowie television recording. I am your host, Candy Sewell-Waller. We so proudly do this show in collaboration with the Urban Sports Scene. Wole and the guys with the Urban Sports Scene are working this evening, and the show still has to go on because the Washington Commanders played a game last night. And so we have to definitely still do the recap. Shout out to those guys for still allowing us to leverage their platforms and have their audience still be able to engage and learn and know more about Bowie Television and all the content and wonderful things that we are doing. Shout out to them. Make sure you tell them I'm shouting them out because they should be. So you all drop any questions you have. As you all know, if you're getting to know me or if you know me for a while, you know that I'm on site and I do definitely answer as many questions as I possibly can about what I know or have insights on happening with the Washington Commanders. We could go ahead and just move right on to my question that I had for Coach Quinn leading up to the matchup Sunday Night Football, Washington Commanders, Denver Broncos. Definitely a night that I had circled on my calendar. And while it looked a bit different in terms of the personnel that was on the field for the Washington Commanders, the game did not disappoint in terms of competitiveness, overall intensity. And I think we were all like, OMG, at the end there. So as I played this clip of myself asking Coach Quinn about the Denver Broncos and what he saw on film, feel free to drop in the chat and I will mention it as well. All of the things that he said that we absolutely ended up seeing on this week's Sunday Night Football. And looking to Sunday night against the Denver Broncos, what have you seen so far from them on film?
Yeah, a lot. I thought defensively, I really thought their front drives a lot. They have playmakers at all the spots, at linebacker, certainly a safety and a corner. And so when you have them at all the levels, that's a big deal. I like how they jump off the ball defensively and swarm. So that's the challenge, when they're at the line of scrimmage, can you find ways to, get some plays? Offensively, I thought, through the years of going against Coach Payton, there's been a lot of things to defend. And so offensive. You can see in year 2 with Bo, an expanded, level of that. Obviously, the speed, the playmakers at receiver. I've always thought they've had an excellent screen game. I thought, through the years, that's one of the things I've, from going against them was a hard, thing to defend. I like the backs, and the quarterback, is making plays, legs, arm, those. So it's a good challenge. They've got good special teams players. We do as well. So like some of these matchups as a coach, that's a good. And it's there. Like I've been obviously pointing them out, to the players and in the meetings all week, and but those are a few of the things right there. But all the groups have good matchups in this game. I think you guys will see those. Hey man, these two guys are battling. This group and this group is battling, and so. That'll start from the first play of the game, whether it's kickoff or kickoff return, both units well coached, and they'll be battling too. But 3 experienced play callers for them with Sean and Darren and with VJ. So good matchup for us.
And as I mentioned, kind of midway through the show here, I made a comment about the very first play and the energy that Jeremy Reeves brought on that one, but also recognizing the Broncos special teams as well. Their special team unit is mean, because I'll tell you, even their punt return team, I was like, Jalen isn't going to go anywhere. They're just not going to let him, because they were running up on him. I was like, oh, just catch the football, fair catching. You're not going to be able to go anywhere. And it just is what it is. And so we also talk about, yes, Kane has played here recently in special teams. That's where it starts. That's where it starts. You want to make a play, get that tackle in, show your physicality. That's where it all goes down on special teams. Not in a physicality way where you end up getting a penalty. You don't want to do that. We have seen that happen. It didn't happen last night. But what I'm saying is where you want to show that impact and what you can do. And making it often starts with making those plays on special teams. So definitely saw that. Again, going to the matchups, I shared a stat earlier from Next Gen Stats about the Terry McLaurin Pat Surtain matchup that definitely didn't disappoint. And so for Terry to get that touchdown in overtime on Pat Surtain, I was like, oh, both tremendous players. Super tremendous players. And we saw some really, 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 and we're going to get into this as well in a moment. We're going to get into some things, because we got to talk about the offensive line in a good way, in a very good way. But before we get there, some of you all hopefully follow me on X. If you don't, please make sure that you do. I guess a month or so ago now, this tweet here says it was October the 17th. I made a tweet that said, I spent my entire time outside during the media viewing of practice watching new commander, because it was new at the time, wide receiver Treylon Burks. Okay. I posted that, and I went back to it because one of my colleagues said, oh, you posted that, you just left everybody hanging. And I was like, what do you mean? They're like, people are commenting, they want to know what you saw. And I'm like, you probably want to know what I saw because you weren't paying attention. And I was watching. I was like, and I looked around and I said, nobody else is watching this today. Okay, I will be the one to watch this. And I'm going to play a few clips, because when I first saw him, now I'm going to tell you what my experience. When I just posted that, I left it. I guess my intention wasn't to leave anyone hanging, but apparently I did. And so I was just like, I'm just watching, because at this point, this is my first time watching it, right? I didn't know him. So I'm like, let's see what happens here as time goes on, because when he came to the team, he was injured. But at the same, he's wearing a non-contact, no contact black jersey. And so I said, okay. But he was doing kick returns, he was doing punt returns. I saw him just like in the the drills and just all the things. And I was kind of like, and I'm starting this question here about the run game because I want to get to that. So you got to make sure you stay on. I will acknowledge when I start a question so that you can stay on to see the answer to that question. But with Traylon, I noticed his size. I instantly noticed his size. Like, whoa, like who? Because at first, I mean, I knew he was there, but it was like, who is that? I still was just like, because he had his helmet on, I didn't know who he was. I was like, who is this humongous? Who's this big receiver? Like, who's this guy? He's got to take his helmet off at some point, right? Are you still going to take his helmet off while we're still out here able to watch? And he took his helmet off, and I said, oh my goodness, it's Traylon Burks. Wow, okay. And then I just watched him. You know, I watched him be very eager to do returns. I watched him to be very eager and just, you know, working with his teammates, doing the wide receiver drills, just all the things. And I was like, I know he is an injury past. He has an injury past now, everybody. But I was like, he stay healthy. He's going to be very good in this offense. Right? And that was just like first day and a couple other days. I posted this last week because at this point, the Seattle and Detroit games are all running together. But in, you know, the Detroit game, he had a finger injury. I think we all found out after the game or maybe like the next day. And it was like, oh, and he's not going to Madrid. And it was like, what? He's not going to Madrid? Like, when did he get hurt? So once he was back at practice, right? We're back from the bye. He was back at practice. I just asked him. I said, hey, Traylon, you doing all right? He was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm back practicing, so I'm good. I'm like, when did you hurt your finger? So he told me, he just said his finger got caught in the corner's helmet, his face mask. And then he, without me asking, he said, yeah, my finger got caught in the corner's helmet or his face mask, and my finger broke in half. I still caught the ball though. And I'm like, wait, hold on. Run that back, Traylon. What did you say? Huh? Can you repeat that? I mean, this is literally what I'm, because he's just talking, he's like, what part? Well, okay, go back to your finger getting caught in the face mask. Let's there, right there. And but you got to say it. No, I don't want to say it. You say it. And he said, yes, my finger got caught in the corner's face mask. And then he shows me his finger. And he's like, my finger got caught in the corner's face mask and it broke in half. Pause. Stop right there. Your finger broke in half. Are you okay? I was like, are you okay? Is everything all right? I still caught the ball though. Okay. But that's great. But what? And so it was that kind of conversation that I was just like, but are you all right? And I asked him, did Coach Quinn know about this? Did he know that you did this? Because you stayed out there. Nobody can figure it out. It was like, well, he was still out there. What happened to his finger? He was like, yeah, I was. So, and we're talking about Washington Commander standard and just getting after it and being eager and just wanting to just, whoa, hey, I think he would be, sounds like he meets that criteria of, really getting after it. And just because I was concerned, like, are you sure you're going to play this weekend? You had a surgery, broken half. You're going to play this weekend. He was like, yes, if they let me, if I could get, we'll see how the week go, but yeah. And I was like, okay. So Friday, I asked Coach Quinn about Traylon Burks. So please drop in the chat what you think of Traylon Burks so far. And I'm going to definitely play a few clips. One of my questions to Coach Quinn on Friday about Traylon. One from after the game that Nikki Davala asked Coach Quinn about the due diligence that they did on Traylon, basically. So some background context on like who picked him, who found him, all that good stuff. And then just Marcus's reaction to Traylon. So check it out. Hey, Coach. wide receiver Traylon Burks shared with me the other day the story about what happened to his finger.
Yep.
In the game. So what can you just say about him and just, what you've known about him in the time period he's been here?
Yeah, in the short time that I've gotten to know him, I've sensed first like a hungry competitor. And we've seen that a lot where somebody needs a fresh start, a fresh space, a new outlook, and sometimes a new space to go do that and express who they are as a player. What I've since learned is the competitor. I'm ready for that. He was, so much as, I'll do the kickoff return. I want to punt return. Like, you feel his energy, Candy, of wanting to prove it. And I think that's a good thing. What I've also learned, just the size, for him, like when you're around him, like, man, this is a big receiver. And so that's different. And I think having that kind of versatility is a big deal. But I like, if there was a hunger index, his is really high. And I like that about him.
So exactly what Coach Quinn said, I said, that's it. That's what I saw. I saw the guy that was like, I want to do kick return. I want to do punt return, because I was thinking to myself, like, oh, he just wants to, whoever he is, he's big, because I didn't know who he was as he had his helmet on. So I was like, well, whoever it is, he wants to do everything. And that's cool. That's nice. But I think he's new. So I'm not sure who is that. And then when he took his helmet off, I was like, that's Traylon Burks. Okay. Oh, wow. All right. See how this works out. And so definitely 1,000%, but you got to give things time. Right. At least I do. I need to, if I see something, and I'm going to say something, but I'm not going to say everything depending on the situation. And then because of he was injured at the time, let's just keep that a buck, right? He was injured at the time. You just didn't know. And so here is head coach Dan Quinn describing what and how they kind of came about with Traylon.
When you guys signed Traylon in October, obviously you were depleted at receiver, but like, how much diligence did you do on him at the time, and like, how much did you know about sort of the person and the player when he came
Adam,
in?
I got to tip the hat to him. He was the one, and even for him coming off an injury, we know he wasn't there yet, but we said, we're not going to miss a step with you, man. We're going to develop you, and then for him, you see him in there at 6 a.m. wanting to learn it and go. So. The thing I just noticed about, like, this is a guy, he wanted to prove it, he wanted to show it, and I thought, man, we're going to give him the space to go do that, even though he wasn't all the way healthy yet. He had been injured, and so for us to, just stay in, develop him, I think there's a lot there, and I'm really excited he's here. I just visited him earlier tonight before I came in. Just, he's got gratitude for being here, but he's also like, me, it's back to him. It's like, no, I've got gratitude for the way you're working and the way you're putting out effort, and like, there's going to be a big plan for you here.
And I do want to say that that part that Dan Quinn shared there publicly, I did see that. I did see Coach Quinn go to Traylon and talk to him and embrace him, and yes. I'm sure he got a few Washington Commanders fans after last night's game, for sure. And here is Marcus's comment too, which again goes back to what I would see in drills, or just what I was starting to learn about Traylon. Marcus shared publicly last night after the game.
What did you see on the throw to Traylon in the corner?
One-on-one, really, to be completely honest with you. He's showed up in practice doing stuff like that, and wanted to give our guy an opportunity, and he made an unbelievable play.
Has showed up in practice like that. Seriously. And it just, again, this goes back to something I shared with you all at the beginning of, or not in the beginning, but a while back, about all the using of my clues I was doing when I saw Debo go out there for kickoff return. I was like, oh, yep, Terry's back. Oh, Traylon is going to be active tonight. Okay, let's see what he does. I think it's his moment. I think he could do this. So the game didn't come out as a W for the Commanders, but still some bright spots and bright moments that help to build for their future. With all of the injuries and turnover at the wide receiver position. I asked Coach Quinn today about that. I mean, wow, what a group of just it just has changed. Like, it's almost like every week it has been literally different every single week. I mean, who would have thunk it, right? Who would have thunk who that would have happened to any position group? But we've also understood the value and just the importance and what injuries do to any unit, and it definitely with a position group. So I asked Dan Quinn about the wide receivers today. Take a listen to his response. Hey, Coach. So with looking at the wide receiver group, I mean, there's been so much movement, as you know, due to injuries with that group. So what can you just say about that group and just the overall preparation from Cliff to Bobby Ingram and the players themselves and how they've dealt with this adversity?
Yeah, it's a great topic, Candy, because I do like to see, where it's going with certain guys, and now adding Terry back in, and Trayvon took on a bigger role. I thought, I didn't really get a good view of his catch until watching it late last night, because, man, that was unbelievable. And so I thought it was in the far sideline from where I'm at, so I didn't get a chance to see that view. But moments like that, seeing Bobby and Andre Coleman and, the other players too, and making sure they're looking after one another and making that as lots of early mornings to get to that spot. Like Jacoby Jones has been in, Corey had been in, different people, Robbie Chosen, Chris Moore, all the way down the line. So finding some continuity, that's been challenging, but I was really pleased with, seeing some of the guys make some big plays, and especially as the game wore on, especially in the second half.
Thank you. I mean, they've had a tall task and really just game planning each week for different receivers in different groups and whomever the quarterback is that week, right? We know mostly it's been, Marcus this season so far, but even, Marcus and Jaden, that is a lot. And I really was putting it in perspective maybe a few weeks ago, but I think it was one of the things that I really started to reflect on during the bye, and we were coming back from the bye on, is Terry going to come back? Is Noah going to come back? And just, that group, and, Luke, right? Luke is out, and look at how Debo has, because Debo's missed a game, and due to his heel injury, and just, it's wow of how they've handled the injuries in terms of the players who have been injured. But those that have been asked to step up or have not been asked has just known they needed to step up. And shout out to Bobby Ingram, the wide receivers coach. I mean, hey, you got to get a different group of folks ready to play every week. And Cliff Kingsbury as well. I mean, you in the quarterbacks, that is really taking an effort there that, I'm going to be talking a bit about, because that is something. That is something to see, that kind of carousel of changes due to injuries. So going on to, we still got clips. You all know, we're going to use the clues. We're going to go through all the clips. Drop any questions that you have in the chat for me. Don't listen. How often do you get to engage with someone that is on site with your favorite football team? Go ahead and ask. If I can't answer it, I'll tell you. I'll be honest and say I can't answer that for whatever reason, but I'll give you a reason, and I'll tell you I can't answer it. If I can, I'll do my best. Are you going for 2 or nah? Okay, are you going for 2 or nah? Meaning, are you just going to hit the extra? What you doing? You hitting the extra point, or are you going for the win? Okay, drop in the chat what you would do. I'm going to share a clip from last night's presser with Dan Quinn answering the question about going for 2. Let me know what you think.
Yeah, I assume no hesitation going for 2 in that situation.
No, yeah, right going into it, into the overtime spot, I thought that would be the way that we would go. I kind of think of that as like a third possession in a way, David, to say, if you get on D and you go, you can tie or you can go, and like that's the way. If you tie, you got to stop and get it back again. So that was the strategy all along. And honestly, it was a play that we liked. We got it batted down, but against a man-to-man, that's one that we practiced a lot and we liked it. And so, I hate the outcome, but there was no hesitation. No, I knew before the drive started, like, hey, we're going to score and we're going to go for two. Then you're in all 4 down territory, so it's more strategy in that way.
Go for it. Go for it. Of course, it was the topic of everything, right? At the end. Were you going for it? Yes. Yes. You're 3-8. Go for it. Why not? Why not? If you win, amazing. If you lose, no harm, no foul. Like, seriously, not with the current record. And so, because what is tying going to get you at this point in time in the season? Just go. Just roll. Heck of a play. By Denver. Heck of a play. But as I just said, just roll with it. Just roll. Go. So it was no surprise, because it felt like I don't like to say the old Commanders, but it felt a bit like last year. The energy was there, the vibes were there. They were just like, they had the juice, they had the moment, and Denver made a play, and that's all right. That's okay. But they were in it. They were in it. And hey, I think that there were no issues with going for it. They lost, they would have tied. I mean, whatever. But I think it was just fine. Just roll with it. And I see many of you said you're going for the win. Feel free to still drop in the chat what you all think. I want to talk about another position group. Are you all, and this is a position group that we've been quite hard on. Okay. I don't know if you all can see this here. Nikki Javala posted this, and I'm going to read it out loud in case you all can't see it. The Commanders' offensive line was excellent against the top pass rush in the NFL. Remember, I shared on the pregame, if you watch the All Burgundy and Gold Everything pregame, I talked about Denver's defense. And when I'm asked questions about should they tank, should they do this, should they do that, my answer being on this side of the house is always going to be no. No. Because what people have told me is when you are coaching to tank, you're tanking is going to get you fired. Okay, period. That's all parties. That gets you fired. All right. Coaching to get draft position, fired. If we look at all of the Super Bowl champions, people who consistently make the playoffs, consistently go to the Super Bowl, all the things consistent when it comes to winning, they're not picking high. You do not get to that part of the mountaintop to pick high, okay, in the draft. You just don't. All right. And so as much as I can help people use their clues on that one, I am, because please know, just take a look at the winners. Just take a look at the Super Bowl champions. When are they choosing high? They don't. Remember the story of Pittsburgh Steelers head coach? I don't know if it's true or not, but I think it is. Of telling Chase Young, I would never be able to draft anybody as good as you because my team would never have that kind of record. So I think you're great. But I think those things are very real that people need to understand. This tweet is about the Commanders' offensive line, okay? Washington held the Broncos to a 17.9% pressure rate, the Broncos' lowest, okay, since week 3 of 2023. When they gave up 70 points to the Dolphins, okay? Laramie Tunsil allowed 2 pressures to Nick Bonito on 28 matchups, just 2. Right tackle Josh Connolly Jr. allowed 0 pressures. 0. Remember all of the drama and all of the, no one wanted to give the young man time to get there, to get to where he is today. No one wanted to give him time to get there. 0 pressures to Jonathan Cooper in 26 matchups. Sam Cosmi, having come back from an Achilles injury, come back week 7, right guard Sam Cosmi allowed just 1 pressure on 55 pass blocks. Is anybody, I had to put my glasses on for that. Has anyone given the Commanders offensive line some love? Okay. Have you given them some love? Have you given them their flowers? All right. Did you, and I would actually like to know, did you realize how good they were playing? Comparatively speaking, this is the top pass rush in the NFL. They had them down to the wire. They had them to the very last play. They had them, right? Anybody, you can drop it in the chat. And if you didn't thank an offensive lineman today, why don't you? Thank a Commanders offensive lineman today, why don't you? I think that you should. If you haven't already, please, you can tag them in this TV show episode. You can just thank them, because hey, something to be said about that. And Nikki asked some questions today about the offensive line. I'm going to play both of these clips from Coach Quinn. While you're listening to both of these clips, make sure you are thanking the Commanders offensive line. Thank an offensive lineman today. Okay. Thank offensive line coach Bobby Johnson. That was again, you all watched the number 1 defense pass rush in the NFL. Okay. Those stats are real. Those are real stats. And that is impressive. Let's tune into the clips.
Hi, Dan. Just curious your general thoughts of the offensive line play, especially going against Denver's pass rush, but also just overall this season.
Yeah, let's start just first with the game. I think that, with going in, I thought this is a team that really has, kind of showed who they can be, from the pass rush standpoint. So we thought going in, this would be some runs and the play action passing game. I thought that was the real key to it, Nikki. If we could even have some runs that weren't, there might be a 0 or 1 yard, and then stay with it to have some of the run actions come to life. And so I thought that was the biggest thing. But I was pleased with the pass protection in the game. It just felt like that they were up for the challenge. It's a very good pass rushing unit, blitzing as well. And I thought the running backs protected well. So that part I was pleased with.
And here's another clip.
And just looking at the 5 up front, I mean, how have they gelled together, especially with Laramie coming in, Chris Paul stepping into a bigger role? How have you kind of seen them become more cohesive?
Yeah, I thought it might have been Sam's best game, so that was good. That I would feel like, bigger comp, from, I'm talking about across the board for them to go. Not that he hasn't played talented guys, he does that all the time, but I just thought their stunts, their blitz package, that part was good. I felt like him and Josh have felt more cohesive, and like that continuity is helping Nikki because now they've been in that rhythm, a good bit together. Chris and Laramie had quite a bit of reps together, but now the fact that, the combinations with Sam and Josh, that's a big deal. And I thought Biotis also, were ones on the pass protection side, maybe Sam and Josh and Tyler. I thought some of their best, jobs in pass protection.
Have you thanked them yet? Okay. Have you thanked them yet? You can tell them that Candy from Bowie TV sent you. All right. Said Candy from Bowie TV said that we should be thanking you. You're doing a good job. So just saying, listen, hey, Give them a moment to gel. Give them a minute to work on it. The health just hasn't been there from a team overall, but you saw things. Yes, there were moments where I was like, gosh, I wish the offense would have scored on that drive, especially early on in the game. But there were bright spots, you all. There were bright spots. There are promising things in the numbers. The data is showing that there are, sometimes you can't just go by a eye test when you're doing a bunch and you try to pay attention. You have to really, really, that's why I really get big on doing use your clues. And you all know this. I say I get big on doing use your clues because I want to bring up these moments. I want to bring up the stats. I want to bring up insights, but I also really want to get into the press conferences as well. So you all know what to listen out for when you are listening to the press conferences. And even if you miss the press conference, you always know you can tune in here and you're going to get a recap of some of those kind of highlights of things you really should be paying attention to. The offensive line did a tremendous job. No, the Commanders did not come away with the win, but the offensive line did a tremendous job. Somebody's got to win and somebody's got to lose. That's just how this thing goes. But that doesn't mean they did not play their behinds off. They absolutely did. Now, so far I only got one question in the queue. So if you have any questions, by all means, make sure you drop them in the chat so I can acknowledge them. Because right now I just got one question, which is totally fine. But hey, I'm open to answering more. Everybody knows that Coach Tavita Pritchard has gotten the head coach position with Stanford football. We certainly want to wish Coach Pritchard congratulations. I made a joke on pregame yesterday. Like, if I had found this out, if I knew on Friday when I saw him, I saw him yesterday too, but I literally was talking to him. I did not know, and maybe people thought I did. I was unaware until I left. Like, literally, I had pulled off the lot, and I found out. And I was like, I'm going to cry. But I didn't. But I'm just saying, it is, he's been tremendous to cover over the years. And he's just a really, really good person. And I believe he's going to have an outstanding tenure at Stanford. So if you haven't already wished Coach Tavita Pritchard congratulations on his new role with Stanford, please make sure you do so. He is such a great, great, great human, and was truly an honor to cover him while he was on the coaching staff with the Washington Commanders. Coach David Blau will take on his position. Coach Quinn was asked about Coach Tavita yesterday after the game, and here is his response.
This is your last game with your quarterbacks, Coach. Can you talk about Tavita's opportunity and where things will go from here?
Yeah, for sure. Tavita has been a great teammate for us, and I say that in the highest regard. That's one of the highest compliments that you can give, a ball player or a coach, what they mean to the staff and, the development for them. So for him being at Stanford for so long as a ball player there, a GA, a coach, so pretty cool op for him that he's connected with Andrew. So we're all pumped for him. It's a fantastic opportunity for him. So we're bummed personally, but man, we're very excited. I just think they got a great things ahead there.
Bummed personally, because I was actually in the locker room during Coach Quinn's after game press conference. So when I went back and listened to this and watched it, I said, that's a great way to put it. Bummed personally, because I was bummed to hear it, but he's oh my God, absolutely well deserved. He absolutely a million times over is going to be fantastic. But everybody is super sad to see him go. I did get a question in, just one here. Marcus threw about 50 times. Did you want us to run more? I always want the Commanders to run more. I always do. Always. Make them stop it. Make them stop it. And I didn't see where they stopped it. Hey, the game ended up. Those were some of those calls were something else, weren't they? Some of the officiating calls, but I always want them to run the football more. You see them get hot. You see it move, you see how it is working. totally love how they feature, each back could go in and get some, and that's great. That's fantastic. But I would like to see a bit more continuity in running the ball more across the 60 minutes. I would. But hey, Zach had 2 drops, but Zach had a good game. Like, he had those 2 drops, and I know everybody was hurt by the drop in the end zone there. But you got Zach involved, and then you got Terry's bag, Debo getting some. It's just with the corner matchups that they had, it was getting good. It was really getting good. But I would always want to see them run the ball more. So that's just kind of my response to that. So I hope that answers your question. That yes, I absolutely want to see them do more there. And so, whatever works, but I always want to see them do more there. Let's see. Does Washington still technically have a playoff chance? I mean, I don't think so, but hey, stranger things have happened. I think the Giants play tonight. Is somebody playing tonight? So after we, I guess after we all watch what happens here, I don't think they do at 3-9, but I could be wrong. I don't know. What is it? Is it 3-9? They are losing right now. So it becomes a, do you want them to? Anything is possible, but I kind of don't think so. We could go into the statistics and do all, hey, I guess it's one of those things, and this is where I tell people, this is one of those things where it's like, it's not a 0 chance, but you don't have a chance. Does that make sense? So, that's kind of my answer. I'm sure the percentage is very low, if anything. So we'll have to see. Do you think they will stick with the run next week? Probably not. Probably not. And that's okay. We'll see if Noah's back. We'll see. We'll see. I would like to be very wrong about that. But, I think that, it's, yeah, I would love to be wrong, but they have something that's working. It's not that it doesn't work. I would just like to see it more, especially in Madrid. Against Miami, I definitely was like, why aren't they running the football? And, it was some moments on a 3rd and 2 or 4th and 1 where I'm like, you could actually just run the football too. You don't have to throw it. You don't. Not with those, not with the 3 backs that you all have. So, we'll see, but I'm kind of not, optimistic about that. So any more questions? You guys gave me 3. And if there are no more, trust me, you all, we're going to keep doing this all season long. Make sure you all are subscribed to Bowie TV and Urban Sports Scene. If you are in Prince George's County, Maryland, I forgot to say this the whole entire time. If you're in Prince George's County, Maryland, you can find Bowie TV on Comcast, channels 190 and 1097. So make sure that's, I'm just kind of like, that's kind of what I should be saying all the time because we're on TV, but I keep continuing to forget that. If you were the GM, who would be your number 1 person to bring back that's on a 1 year right now? Let me think about that. I think it's too early. It's hard to make those kind of calls. I know my answer is. Well, no, I'm going to give you my answer. And I know people aren't going to like the answer. But my I don't know if he's coming back, but My answer would be Bobby Wagner. And the reason why I would be Bobby Wagner is because he is keeping this team together. And he gets a lot of flack. I'm not real sure why. It's like there's 2 or 3 things that happen in a game, and everyone forgets about all the other things he did in the game, which is just the nature of people, I think. But when adversity strikes, and we talk about the commander standard and how you deal with adversity and how you remain disciplined and in your right mind and still going for it, getting after it, even a support to his teammates, his veteran teammates, because Marcus Mariota even mentioned him in a press conference after the game. I don't know if it was in Madrid. It wasn't in Madrid. It must have been after Detroit. It wasn't in Madrid. It was after Detroit. And he brought up Bobby. And I have not ever met a human that is able to just persevere, is what I'll say. And help others do the same. In game, in practice, in film room, just keep getting after it. And the respect level that he has in that space. I mean, this is when we talk about commander standard and culture, and from a player perspective, these are he has the mentality that you want everybody to have. Like, no, seriously, you all. I've been in that space under previous coaching staffs, under the previous owner, and I will tell you, it doesn't feel like their record around there. Does that make sense? It doesn't feel like their record. And that doesn't mean they're chilling and partying. No, they're serious. They're serious. And that is why at one point in time, it was so difficult for me to watch. And I would be saying, what does Coach Quinn feel like right now? Oh my goodness, because I'm like, I know how I feel and I'm press. I'm media. But I'm there, and he spends way more time with them than I do. But from the time that I am there, which is still a lot of my time, I'm like, what is happening? And then the injuries was just like, oh, because it just wasn't computing for me. And it's still not, let me be clear, but at least I recognize them, on the field is what I mean. But, there's quite a few, but he's the first one that comes to mind, for sure. But there's quite a few, because I still feel like the injuries messed this up. You can never go based on injuries, but these injuries, like, your pass rush is gone. Like, your pass rush, they have a pass rush, and they're trying to do the best that they can with the personnel that they have, right? Your starting quarterback has been out, right? And Marcus has been phenomenal, but we know the capacity that's there. So it's like, Will Harris is just getting back. And I saw negativity about Will, and I'm like, are you serious? You can't expect hey, Bo Nix made a play. Bo Nix made a play because they were after him. He was under pressure. He made a play. And Cortland Sutton he caught it. The other team, they're going to catch a football, you all. You cannot expect for people not to catch a football on the other side. Somebody's going to catch it. And so, but you didn't really hear much else, right? So, that defense, it was all, both of those teams are pretty evenly matched. It's interesting because I feel like I do when I watch the Commanders play the Atlanta Falcons, and I felt the same way yesterday. Like, Denver and the Commanders are actually, even though their records are very different, I'm like, they got some similarities, So, but the numbers don't show it, and the win-loss column absolutely doesn't show it. But it was just in game watching it. Right. So I just know what he does for that culture, and I know what he does for that room. But the injuries are a lot. Nobody else would say that, but I can say it. I have enjoyed covering him for certain. It is, him, Zach Ertz they're great. They're great. And it's hard when you have somebody, like the franchise quarterback is the second year and he's dealing with injuries and all kinds of adversity this year. And it's like, you guys, people need support. People need support, right? And they need people. And I feel like the people that they need are there. It's just for various reasons that this year it just didn't come together. So we'll have to see what happens, but hey, in Madrid, Bobby Wagner already got over 100 tackles on the season, and he's actually got 2 picks this year, and he hadn't had 2 picks since 2022. So, I mean, hey, say what you want. He's having a phenomenal season. That's why sometimes, yes, I rely on my insight. I do the eye test and I do all of that. But hey, numbers are numbers. I got to go back to the numbers. That's why I had to bring up about the offensive line. Did you thank them yet? Because I think that's very important. You all, this has been fun. And I hope you all enjoyed yourselves watching the Washington Commanders Update, Bowie TV's live recording from the Coaching from the Couch series. You all tell Wole we missed him. Tell Wole we missed the conversation. We missed having him on, but hopefully the Wizards aren't playing and we'll be able to get him on again. So you all have a great night, and I'll be talking to you again soon.